Okay, so you're talking about the life of the mother. If the life of the mother is in danger because of the presence of the unborn child. Dr. Potts, who are you? Towards me? Okay, well, in this situation, human rights are organized. They organize themselves. So you have the right to life, liberty, and property, right? And they're all inalienable, natural, fundamental human rights. But they order themselves. So property is underneath the liberty right, because you have to be free over yourself before you can have ownership over property. So when we have a conflict between a liberty interest and a property interest, the liberty interest would win out, because without it you can't have the property interest, right? Well, the same thing is with life and liberty. Life is a necessary condition for the very possibility of liberty. So if you have a competition between a liberty interest and a life interest, the life interest has to win out, simply because without the right to life, you don't have the right to liberty. But your question is, what about if you have a life right against a life right? Now what do you do? Well, in this situation, a pro-life OBGYN would try to preserve as much life as possible and would never seek to kill a human person under any circumstance. One of the cases that this can happen is, for example, in an ectopic pregnancy where the baby is lodged in the woman's fallopian tube. In this case, if you don't remove that baby, the baby will never get the chance to grow to the point where he will be viable. By the way, if you could wait until the moment the baby is viable, you would do that, because then you could save both the mother and the child. But if a doctor had reason to believe, good reason in his medical judgment, as best as we could tell, that the woman is going to die imminently if you don't remove that baby, yes, you can remove that baby to save the mother's life. But the reason why is because you're not killing the baby. You're removing the baby from a situation that is pathological for both of them. Since he's not viable, if the woman dies, the baby will die too. So the first step to save her life is to remove the baby from her body. The fact that we can't take the second step in these early pregnancies to save the baby's life too is not killing the baby. It's what's practically known as a secondary and unintended consequence. If we ever came up with a technology where we could move the baby safely to the woman's womb without risking her life again and save the child, you would do that. But we can't do that today. So you take the first steps that's necessary to preserve as much life as possible without taking an active step to actually kill somebody. Does that make sense?